Well, hey everyone, Happy New Year,
Happy New Year.
and welcome to episode 8 of CXN Coffee, the show where we talk about a brand new blend every single week. Marty and I overshare on what we got into or will
Yes.
be getting into in the weekend to come. And we talk a bit about customer experience. I do this with my good friend, former coworker, and longtime schemer.
Schemer. Marty Shaughnessy. That's me.
That's a new one, right?
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
I'm
keep it
trying out
fresh.
something new for
Keep
the
them
new
guessing.
year, right?
Keep them guessing.
Schemer, they're like, what are you scheming
Yeah.
about?
We're not going to stick with scheming, but for today, that's fine.
No, it's okay. No, there's this episode 47 is all about our. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Marty, how are you doing, man? How are your holidays?
They were great. They were great. They were busy. And, I feel like we were feeling with Thanksgiving being so late, we were definitely feeling like that missing week. But it was good. It was good. I'm blessed. I'm a blessed man. So,
Yeah.
how
I
about
feel,
yourself?
I feel that on all fronts. It was a great time with our family and got to spend some time with some good friends of ours. I will say, for the first time in a long time, all
Okay.
of the gifts were purchased and wrapped before we got to the 24th.
Oh boy.
That's a big deal because there
That is
have
a big
been
deal.
lots of nights where it's like midnight and I am still wrapping things because I've waited too long. So it felt really good on that front. But we were saying on Christmas Day, it definitely felt like we didn't have as much of a run up to it this year.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay because now we've got the next year to look forward to, and we
Next year.
can we
Yeah.
can we just start now. Just
Yeah.
start now. The celebration. If you took your tree down, you didn't have to.
Right.
Did you know anybody like that, Marty, who leaves the tree up all year?
No, but my record when I had my apartment with a buddy of mine, we had a tree. I got a separate tree in my room. So I had a bigger room than he did, so I put a tree in there, a bonus tree as I
Yeah,
call it,
yeah.
and that thing stayed in there till June. Just because I just the needles dried out, and then I was just thinking about the mess that it
It
was
was
going
a
to be,
live
and
tree.
it was a live tree that stayed into June. And when I did drag it out, obviously it left needles everywhere. But yep, June. That was my record.
You're lucky nobody was smoking near that thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it actually. If you didn't touch it, it kind of stayed green and it looked good,
Yeah.
but it was very dry. So as soon as I did pull the plug and drag it down the stairs, I had to follow it down with a sweeper and vacuum and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. We had friends in Nashville who they had a fake tree, but they left it up year round. And they had decorations for Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, the 4th of July, like you name it, the tree theme rotated
Okay,
every
so there
night.
was there was there was activity
There was
that was
activity.
updated. Okay, well I
Yeah,
can
it
see
was
that.
it was just interesting, and yeah, I can't recall the full explanation why, but for them it was part of like they didn't want to move furniture around, and they really
Mhm.
loved just having something thematic at all times. So if that's you, no judgment, just that seems like a lot of work to keep rotating. And where do you store all those decorations? Also that.
Yeah, yeah. That seems like more effort versus having one day where you like throw it all up and then one day where you take it all down.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Mm.
that's exactly it. I know our house has been the debate of when do you take it down, and sometimes it's mid to late January that happens. Sometimes it's before the new year. This year, because we were traveling over the
Mm.
New Year holiday, things came down so that when we got back, the house was ready to just kind of step because we came back and it's school and work
Yep.
and all of the things. So it's like let's just be ready to step back into reality, if that's a way to think of it, I guess.
Yeah, we're a January 1 family.
Yeah.
We get that extra week in there, but then we want the house back in order to kind of start the rest of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be curious to hear from people like when is it for you? I know friends of ours, they were traveling and so I kid you not, Christmas Day that night, they took things down. Because they're like, we're
Oh,
gonna get back from vacation in 2 weeks, and the last thing we want to do is deal with any of that. So, okay, kids, enjoy the holiday, and done.
yeah, yeah. Cut. All right, everybody, now grab your. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, be interesting. I'd love to hear from all of you. What if you're decorating for the holidays? How do you decide? How do you decide when you take it all down? And are you a little bit sad? Our house, if I'm being honest with you, feels empty and sad when we transition out of the Christmas decorations into what I'll call winter in the Robbins household.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of sadness. I mean, it is. I think my favorite thing is like getting up early in the morning and I just walk over and we've got one of those little buttons on the floor that turn on like the lights over the fireplace and the Christmas tree, and just having the coffee, and it's like it's still dark outside, or it's you see a little bit of the sunrise, but it's just like that peaceful morning kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
that's my favorite. So I do miss that.
I want to play with. I've got a friend he's very technically inclined and loves to flaunt it. He's got multiple scenes set up in his house because they've got LED lighting in all sorts of different rooms and all sorts of different places. And so they'll go in and it'll do the, "Hey Siri, go to Winter Wonderland," and you've got like blue and white accents.
Wow.
It's over the top, and I low key love every minute of it.
Yeah, that's next level for sure.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to like. I love the holidays, but I also love like the excitement and moving into. I don't know. We say a fresh start. It's just a continuation of like. There's all this stuff that just now we just got to keep moving forward on the things. Yeah, there are certain things that we can use this as a time to pause and reflect. But it's like, how do we keep just moving forward? That I think is the biggest thing in my mind as we step into the new year.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't so much of a kind of, January 1st, you open up the book and like, what am I going to do this year? I mean, you've been talking about it for the last couple months, and there's definitely things already in the work, but there is something symbolic. I do like the idea of a fresh start. Like I do, you kind of close the books, you look at the end as like, okay, we did really well this year, and then let's see what 2025 has for Declan Media moving forward. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I do get a little excited, but I agree with you. It's a little more symbolic than actual, like, okay, what's new today? That kind of thing.
Now, so I agree with you in terms of like, it's nice to take a minute, look back, and then try to figure out how to look forward. As you do that, are you a resolutions person? Do you pick a word or a theme for the year? Like, is there any type of ritual that you have around stepping into a new year?
I would say as a chubby person, I'm the resolution is always like lose weight, eat better, exercise more. So that's on the plate. Let's just put that where that's a given, right? That's just going to be there. From a business standpoint, I just the older I get, the more I just realize how the importance of client relationships. And so it's just about like nurturing that and making sure that that's strong. And, I have no desire to like grow my business to 25 employees and kind of get caught up in all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just about waking up, working with people that I love working with. I feel pretty fortunate that I have a great client list, and just making some cool stuff, just trying to do something new.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. So
What about
if
you?
we were to theme your 2025 in 2 words, it would be rations and relationships.
Oh my. All right. I'm going to get a tattoo. I like that. Rations and relationships.
There are a few things I do well, Marty. Alliteration is one of them.
Yeah. Well, and it'll be nice too, because in the future somebody can go back and say like, "Oh, look, Marty looks the same in 2026. His face is the same shape."
No.
You never know. You never know, people. It could happen. It could happen.
This is the year. This is the year.
It's a new year.
I like that.
I do have a funny story that goes along with that. So Justin, Nate Brown, and I went hiking. Where was that again?
We were in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park.
That's right. And so I had my hiking sneakers, which I should have brought hiking boots. The hiking sneakers didn't work. So at the end of doing the 20 miles or whatever we did, 20, 25 miles, my feet looked like they were in hiking sneakers. There was blisters on blisters. So it was not good. It was not good.
When are we doing the second hike?
I don't know. The day I got back, I bought some hiking boots. So I have them. They're ready. They're ready to go.
I like it. We can add that to the docket for 2025.
There we go.
It's very good.
What say you, Nate Brown? What say you? This way we can see if he actually watches us.
Oh, that's a really good point. He's being put to the test right now. He doesn't even know it.
He doesn't know it. Has
Yeah,
no
he'll find
idea.
out. Soon enough.
He's
Find
probably
out.
picking out his new matching suit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I used to be a resolutions person, and a few years ago, I stopped because, like most people, it was just not a thing I actually did. But I shifted maybe 3 years ago now to a word. And I spend a little bit of time leading up to the new year trying to figure out what that word might be. And the point is for it to be somewhat centering. The point is for it to be kind of reflective in the things that I'm doing or thinking or working on.
Like a focus point kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. And I usually start with a number of words and then whittle them down as you know. There's like an actual process, and I usually take a couple of weeks to get there. And what was interesting is, as I was thinking about 2025, like you, it's like that moment to take a bit and reflect back on the year or even the past couple years. And it's like, what have been the themes? What have been the things that I hoped for that came true? What have been the things that I hoped for that didn't work out? Why did they work out? Where do I get, derailed? All that kind of stuff. And as I was thinking about 2025, the word I ended up landing on, interestingly enough, you already mentioned it, you didn't even know it, was focus. Focus is the word for 2025. And in part, and you know this well about me, Marty, is I will get excited about a lot of things. And, there's often like a notebook of ideas and stuff that's like, oh, that would be interesting, that would be interesting, that would be interesting. And one of the things that's been a helpful practice for me, I'd say especially in recent months, is the willingness to refine and to double down on fewer things and to really just kind of like zone in, to focus in on, where I spend my time, all of that kind of stuff. So that's how I'm going into the year. One of the things I do is actually write it down, and I have it right in front of me. So on my laptop, which I have, in front of me pretty much all the time, is the word focus, and just a reminder that, as I go into the year to make sure that that's kind of at the forefront of things. So that's how I am starting 2025.
Yeah, that's cool.
Be curious to hear from people. Do you do a resolution? Do you do a word? Do you just not do any of it? Same old, right? Would be really curious to hear from people how you go into the new year. But you know how else I'm going into the new year, Marty?
How's that, Justin?
It's by sipping more delicious beverages
Okay.
in my new CX and coffee mug. I was feeling, Marty, at this. So the mug, I'd been for our first set of episodes, I was using the same mug, and it's actually one that I got from Medallia, and I love it. It's a great mug, but I felt like something was missing.
Yeah.
I felt like if we're gonna sit down and we're gonna have coffee or whatever beverage it is every single week, I want something that I can be proud of holding in my hands. And not that I'm not proud of the Medallia mug, but Medallia isn't, they're not an underwriting sponsor of the show. So
That's true.
yeah. Even
Yeah.
this mention that they just got, you're welcome, Medallia. You're welcome.
Yes, no, I was. You sent this to me right before the holidays. I'm very excited to be sipping while we discuss. So what's in your mug today,
Yeah.
Justin?
Today's mug comes to us from Washington State.
Okay.
And I am enjoying Olympia Coffee's Sweetheart Blend.
Wow.
This is from a village in Ethiopia. It's a medium roast, and it advertises flavors of berries, chocolate, and cream.
Okay.
I loved the packaging. That was part of like why I got this. It was like very simple kind of
Yeah.
line art stuff on it. Um, and I'm excited. So I already had a sip of it just now. But let's jump in and talk about Sweetheart Blend from Olympia Coffee in Olympia, Washington. So in terms of the bag sniff, I will be honest with you. I got excited as soon as I opened this bag to grind these beans because it just sometimes you get hit and you're like, A, this is high quality, and B, it's just very well balanced. That was exactly what I felt when I opened this and kind of got the first few aromas. Not surprising, based off of the description. It came to me pretty much like a milk chocolate bar. That
Okay.
was that plus just very pleasant coffee aromas. Even once I was brewing it, the house had the smell. Like there's just some coffee shops you walk into or diners you walk into, and you've just got this aroma that is what I would just, it's pleasant
Yeah.
coffee. That would be the best way I describe. It's just a pleasant coffee aroma.
Do you
So
get any of that fruit on the nose?
from the bag, not necessarily. You know, I could fake it and say, yeah, there's some sort of berry smell in there.
You don't need
It's
to take
just
it.
it's just sweet.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay.
like, and again, sweet. I've used that word a lot. Like in some of the episodes, like a lot of these have the sweet, but it is that it's like a milk chocolate bar.
Yeah.
It's I almost imagine if any of you have ever been to Hershey's Chocolate World, one of the things that they have is a ride there that takes you through the chocolate factory. And you move into this one part of the ride and they pipe in the aroma of chocolate. That is almost what this reminds
Okay.
me of, is that delightful chocolate aroma. 100% get that out of the bag. So I was excited as I opened the bag and was roasting it. Is one of those things. It's like, I'm just going to like this coffee.
Yeah.
And it was honestly everything that I could hope for in terms of drinking it. It's mild, but it's also kind of full and complex. It's
Okay.
not overwhelming. Like there's some dark roast that it can be a lot. This I feel like I splurged, and this wasn't a expensive bag of coffee compared to some of the other ones. Like we've spent more on the show for other bags of
Yeah.
coffee. So I would compare this to, if you're in the store. I want to say this was maybe a $12 bag of coffee, which I think like some of the Starbucks roasters, like I feel like there's even $9. To spend a few dollars more and get really high quality coffee, definitely worth it to me.
Yeah.
It's just good. It's just good coffee. Like I said, if you like dark coffee, I think you'd still like this because it has a nice complexity to it. But if you like blonde or lighter roasts, it fits that well. There's often like, I wonder like, what do they mean by medium coffee? To me, this hits it like on the money. Just even tempered. Really, really good. One that the first time ever having their coffee, but I will absolutely seek out other roasts from Olympia Coffee. Should I get to their their location at 108 Cherry Street in Olympia, I will definitely stop by because this is my new winner. Great way to start the new year was with Sweetheart Blend from Olympia Coffee.
Nice. Well, and I know you're traveling up here to your home, your former home in Pennsylvania to see some family. Are there coffee shops that you're going to stop at while you're here? Is there anything in particular that you've been missing?
There are a few that I'll stop into. Square One Coffee in Lancaster is one where there'll be a bag that we'll talk about here in a couple weeks. Um, there's I'm sure some other ones that have popped up. That was, always for me. There's the fun of the just finding new ones too.
Hmm.
So I'm treating it a bit like that in terms of I knew Square One for sure, but see what else I can and find, and maybe there's something interesting. That was even over the break. We had stopped into a holiday market, and it was a
Mm.
guy who was roasting a bunch of different ones. And I said, "All right, what's your most unique?"
Yeah.
So he picked one out for me that happened to be a brand new one that we'll also try soon as well. But
Nice.
yeah, this has been fun. I mean, I'm going to be honest to all of you. Like, we've fallen in a little bit of a coffee rut, as I think we all do. You find what you like, and then you're like, I'm just going to keep drinking what I like. This has been very enjoyable for me to, do something I would have done anyway, buy coffee and try a whole bunch of new things. So I'd say, if nothing else, if you've been thinking like there's something that you really enjoy, and you're like, maybe I want to branch out a little bit. This is your nudge. Branch out. Try new things. That's your word for 2025. It's uh I can't think of a good word.
That's your one word. Try new things.
That's your one word. Try new things.
Yeah. Well, I felt like I was kind of like that with craft beer for a long time because you're just, you've got the app and you're trying, all these different things. And then you just kind of settle back into like, well, this is my comfort area. But the idea of to kind of go back out, when we're traveling around, I usually try to stop somewhere and like, oh, let me try something new, so
Well, and what's been cool with this too, Marty, is it's just been another way to connect with people.
hmm.
And that was this farmers market that we stopped at. We just got to talking about things, and it's just cool to hear these stories. Like, what gets people into it? In this
Right.
case, another example of he has a relationship with the different farmers that he's working with. So it's just a cool thing.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure. And so transitioning, Justin, going into 2025, right? There's always predictions and what are people's expectations? What's front of mind of someone who's working in a contact center right now? Like with CX in general, like what are people thinking about? I don't want to put you on the spot and try to be, a mind reader for what's happening this year, but what's important, or what should people be thinking about at least?
Marty, here's what's interesting about that question, and something that I have just felt a lot of exposure to recently, given the conversations I've been having and the work that I've been doing, is we're stepping into 2025 at what I'm going to call kind of the intersection of a pretty strong hype cycle around artificial intelligence and all of these companies that have invested now over the past few years or have received investment
Yeah.
to do something around it, and organizations and where they actually are with willingness, interest, excitement, or fear around what that means for their organizations. I think if 2024 in a lot of ways was around contextualizing what this could mean for an organization, or even in some ways preparing for what it could mean, uh, things like data projects, things like process improvement, things like potential use case mapping, right? All that kind of stuff. One of the key things that 2025, I believe, will be marked by is wider experimentation and kind of wider first use cases, playing out for organizations.
Yeah.
There is still a lot of fear, confusion, ambiguity around what these types of technologies can do, because candidly, for a lot of the solution providers, they're seeing it prove out for the first time themselves. There is no real tried and true proven case study that they can go back to right now. They are being played out as we speak. So that creates all of this kind of questioning around, well, what really will be the impact? What really can be done? What really does need to happen for organizations to get this right? Couple that with two, people's understanding of what these technologies can do is mostly fueled by the news, the rumor mill.
Right.
But again, they don't have anything to actually point to and look to. And then the ownership and internal agreement around how to actually do this right is just a mess. Someone recently called it a turf war to me as the interdepartment kind of fights are breaking out around who owns it, what are the metrics that should be in place, how do we actually define success, all of these things. It's just muddy right now. The only way to get through that is to work through actual examples, trying to put it into practice. So I think that's going to be part one for 2025 in organizations is how do we put some of these things around artificial intelligence into practice, into our organizations? How do we fail fast? How do we figure out where we need to iterate? That is absolutely a big part of this.
Okay.
A second thing I'd call out for 2025 is around what we're doing with human capital and how we're improving and maturing our workforce. There's always been a natural shift in the maturity and work done by especially frontline associates. There's always technological advancements. There's always new efficiencies being found. And so there's always this maturing that needs to happen. But organizations now are and will feel the pinch of that maturing happening at a faster pace. The issue with that is what a machine is capable of doing tomorrow, I can't get a person capable of being upskilled as fast as I can get a machine trained.
Right.
So this, I think, will be part of 25 is we're going to see development plans and maturity models being built for how do we take frontline associates and really get clear about what their jobs need to look like 6, 12, 18 months from now. Because for that to be true 6, 12, 18 months from now, work has to start today. And so what's the work that we have to start today, I think is number 2. Third thing for me, for contact centers, again, is really just understanding what's the nature and predictability of our workload going to be. What gets automated? What new problems come out? How does this make our lives more difficult? How does that make our lives easier?
Right.
Reality is both are going to play out. And there's so much unpredictable future, I think, for contact centers that's also a key part of it. It's like, how do we forecast? How do we think about staffing? What are the customer contacts that we're going to be getting in the future? So to sum it up, 2025 for me is about experimenting. It's about getting people prepared for the future. And it's in walking into a world of greater uncertainty than we've ever had before and having to be totally comfortable with that and willing to work within it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. I've got a bunch of other things that are bouncing around in my head, but I'll hold those for future episodes. But yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear from people watching. I mean, as you think about your priorities for the year, as you're building your strategies, your goals and initiatives, what is the top thing? It's, the beginning of the year. So what do you want to look back on December 31st of 2025? And it's like this one thing or these 3 things, that means that we've been successful this year. Because I think the reality for a lot of us is now we just go into almost like autopilot. And we continue to react in the same ways that we reacted in 24, in 23, in 22. And we're going to get to December 31st. It's going to be like, we've kind of just maintained. We haven't really advanced the cause. And the big question I put in front of people is, what is the thing? What is the thing that if you accomplish this would make you successful? And how do you do predictive things now? How do you make sure that every day, every week, every month, you're saying, are we moving closer to or further from it, right? Don't get caught by surprise at the end of this year. If there's one thing that you strove to do in 2025 that you haven't done in other years, maybe it's be more predictive in what you measure, in how you manage, and how you act, be proactive in your approach, because then you're not going to be playing catch up all the time. That I think is probably the biggest challenge and encouragement and push I'd put out to people as we begin the year is what would it look like for you to be more predictive and more proactive in your approach?
Very nice.
That's it, Marty. That's how I'm starting the year.
That's
For me, it's about focus. It's about being proactive, being predictive. That I think is key for any of us if we want to be successful.
It's a perfect way to start the year.
I like it.
Let's do it. I'm excited. I'm excited for 2025 to keep chatting with you, keep learning about coffee, keep learning about CX practices, and yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Marty, I am also excited to be doing this again in 2025. A few things that we didn't even talk about that are going to be really cool additions. Once a month, we're going to invite somebody on to sit down and have a cup with us and explore a topic. Really looking forward to introducing that on an episode later this month. We have got a ton of coffee in the hopper, including next week, Marty. I am going to have 2 different coffees.
Wait, hold on. In one episode, Justin?
One episode, 2 different coffees, the second week of 2025. And I said, you know what?
You're breaking the rules already.
Crazy. Gonna be crazy. So come back for that. We've got guests. We've got coffee, all sorts of other beverages. And the other thing that we're going to do is put out a list of a couple topics that we're going to be covering in some of the coming episodes so that you know what you can look forward to in CX and Coffee every single week. But Marty, until then, a few pieces of advice. If you've got a live tree still up in your house, do not leave it there until June. I know Marty said he did that. I cannot encourage you enough to take it down sometime before June. Best practice.
That was single Marty.
Still Marty. Number two.
Number 2.
Whether you live in Olympia, Washington, or you have a internet browser and go to olympiacoffee.com, you have got to get yourself some of this. The Sweetheart Roast is what we tried today, but based off of this, I think I'm going to be a fan of a lot of their coffee to come. And as we step into a brand new year, find a way to focus your efforts to do all you can to be more predictive and proactive in how you lead your organization. And it all begins by right now writing down and defining what would be the one thing that if you look back on December 31st and had accomplished it, that would mean that you were successful this year. I am looking forward to a great 2025, all of the episodes of CX and Coffee that we have ahead, and catching up with all of you next week as we share a whole new brew. Until then, it is Justin Robbins and my good friend
Marty Shaughnessy
signing off of CX and Coffee. Catch you next week.